This is a battle in the Tuskmod between MVS007 and Waldhorn. Saxons versus the Sassanid Empire. This is a battle in the Flash mod that Walrus hosted himself. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to participate. Tournaments, especially Flash tournaments, usually happen when I am indisposed due to having 2 small kids, soon to be 3. So most tournaments happen at an inconvenient time for me. Now here we have the Sassanids. We have 6 Persian Brigade up center. We have Armenian Kingers, 4 of those. Interesting to see how much they can do. 16 ammo. Then we have Stigman Cataphracts, Persian Mounted Warriors, Kurdish Javelins, and elite Daylamites on each flank, presumably to support the cavalry fight. The general is a Spabed. Then for the Saxons, let's see what the Saxons are bringing. They are bringing Nordic Hurler, Nordic Axe Warriors, Saxon Mounted Warband, medium melee, with precursors, very nice, elite Saxon Javelins, Chosen Warriors. Then we have 4 Hearthguard in the center, a Nordic Warlord, 2 Saxon Lancers, Nordic Bows, Chosen Warriors, elite Saxon Javelins, Nordic Hurlers, Nordic Axe Warriors, and Saxon Mounted Warband. So let's see here. Now at range it's no contest whatsoever. The Sassanids will wreck at range with their Armenian Slingers. It will be very difficult for the Saxons to do anything about the Armenian Slingers, at range at least. So the Saxons need to find a way to deal with them, because they will rack up kills in the hundreds in a very short amount of time. Now, if those kills are on these Saxon mounted warbands, for example, it's going to be extremely difficult for the Saxon army to do anything really. And these are one of the units that I don't like, and what I don't say when I say I don't like, I mean I find them annoying as hell to deal with, because you can't really fire at them with archers. That's a waste of ammo. If you start rushing your cavalry in, the cavalry is going to have a reduction in speed of 25%, and it's also going to take a significant amount of damage in most cases. So having units like these Armenian Slingers, when there are many of them, sure, the rest of the army is going to be weaker, but it's also, if the Armenian Slingers are able to do enough damage to cavalry, that doesn't really matter, because if there's enough heavy cavalry, and there isn't though in this case, but if there's enough heavy cavalry, the heavy cavalry can just clean up whatever's left of infantry and skirmishers. But let's see how this plays out. I'm going to give the edge to the Armenian army, to the Sassanid army in this case. Depends on how these Armenian Slingers are used. If they're used to take care of some dirt cheap Nordic bows, that's not really a good trade. But if they start laying down the hurt on cavalry, now I would have really liked to see some slingers on this flank firing on any oncoming cavalry, and fewer missiles in the center, because there aren't really that many high value targets for them in the center here. And if they fire on the Nordic Hurlers, they are pretty much wasted. But firing here on these cavalry units would be super useful. Looks like we have some Nordic bow action going on here. They are not going to be doing much against Armenian Slingers. The Armenian Slingers are not firing yet. These Nordic Hurlers are firing. Could be a problem for the Armenian Slingers. They do have a bit of armor and a decent missile block chance, so they're not going to take too much damage. But the Armenian Slingers aren't firing yet. They're just standing there. And getting these shots off on the Saxon mounted is, in my opinion, very important. But the ammo on these units is pretty much going to be wasted against the Armenian Slingers. And I agree with not firing on these units. However, I don't understand why we aren't seeing any fire. Because the Nordic Hurlers are now going to try to fire, but the Stigman Cataphracts are being pulled away. So good move there by both players. Now the elite Daylamites are using precursors to kill Nordic Hurlers, which really isn't a good use of precursors from elite Daylamites. Persian brigade is charging in, and let's see, the Armenian slingers are now firing in the center, it seems. Sniping the general here would be very useful, in my opinion. Yeah, the Nordic hurlers just get wrecked. I mean, these Armenian slingers are being used very, very suboptimally at this point. Firing at Hearthguard. Seems like the Hearthguard is in Shield Wall, but Shield Wall is going to reduce the missile block chance in Tuskmod, not increase it. That is might be a bit of a problem there. Persian brigade rushing in, and they are eating fire from elite Saxon javelin men and mounted Saxon, which is not the worst use of them. The Armenian slingers are now firing. They're firing at the Nordic hurlers, which again I don't understand. They are very close to being able to fire at the Saxon mounted. Another unit of Nordic hurlers being very cheeky, having the right idea, firing on these Persian mounted. But these Armenians are... here we have more precursors from the Daylamites firing. Saxon mounted rushing in against the Kurdish javelins. The Kurdish javelins are wrecked, did not have the time to make anything happen, knocking down their own unit, and then going into the Saxon mounted is the Persian mounted warriors. Over on the flanks here we have the Sassanids just wheeling off. There is really nothing stopping the Saxon lancers from just putting the hurt down in the center here. The Sparbed could do it, and he has more ammunition, which is nice, on his on the precursor bows. Have a hard time getting kills though. So yeah, on this side the Sassanids are going to get wrecked by Nordic Axe warriors, and here we have Saxon lancers coming into the Persian brigade. Not the most effective of engagements, but it should definitely be enough. The Pushtigben, the very heavy shock moving around, if they get a good charge here, they could clean up this entire mess. But overall, not looking too good here for the Saxons. And the Pushtigben cataphracts get snagged on the side. That was a very important unit for the Sassanids, so this isn't going to end well for the Sassanids, and the Nordic Axe warriors getting so many kills here in this blob. Now the Persian brigade is not going to do too well against Hildman. Let's see here. They could do a bit of damage on the charge. Yeah, they do cause some casualties on the charge, but nothing major. The Saxon lancers getting into the Armenian slingers, then they get hit by the Pushtigben. The flanks here are just sort of zoned out, not participating. And here you can see the Pushtigben, they are losing decisively to Saxon mounted and to Nordic Axe warriors. The Nordic Axe warriors are such dangerous units when they are in a blob like this. The Kurdish javelin men are firing into the blob and doing quite a bit of damage actually. The Hearthguard is the Hearthguard losing to Persian brigade?
The men are broken and are fleeing.
That would be absolutely insane if they did lose to no, they're not. But yeah, the Persian brigade did do a lot of damage, but it's also wrapping around. It's also wrapping around, so that's the reason. The Persian brigade was wider, so it was able to wrap around, and that is a major advantage when any unit is able to wrap around another unit and start attacking the cylinders in the flanks and rear. Probably what happened. Now this Kurdish javelin is supporting very well here, getting some kills on the Nordic Axe warriors, and their morale isn't great, so looks like the Kurdish javelins that came back here are going to be able to help the Pushtigben. Elite Saxon javelins are decent in melee. Just decent overall stats, and look at their kills, 230, racking up the kills there against the Armenian slingers, and they have a lot of the elite Saxon javelins. They have a lot of armor and health, just overall very sturdy. Bit too expensive for my tastes, but a decent enough unit. They are wrecking. The chosen warriors here are of course wrecking the elite Daylamites. Very, very messy battle this. The Armenian slingers, I think we'll see that by their kill count. They have some nice kills, but not the kills they need. They really would have needed to take care of the cavalry on the flanks here. And here we have some javelins incoming against the Nordic Axe. Nordic Axe warriors, super strong, but also super fragile. They do not like cavalry missiles, and their morale is shaky as hell. Here they are breaking at around 60 men. Chosen warriors getting hit by the sparbed. Sparbed should do fairly well in this engagement. 80 charge for medium melee is very strong. Very good charge bonus. Interesting to see though, the Saxons have a few scare units here that might... The Hardcore doesn't have scare, but they have other units. And the Persian mounted are fighting to the last in their pajamas. These elite Saxons didn't do as much as the ones over here, but the ones over here did, wow, 318 for a skirmish unit. That is, but they have been able to use all of their ammunition. Now the general is screwed. This sparbed is going to get surrounded and probably destroyed, attacked in the rear. So yeah, that is going to end the sparbed, and so many Saxon units left on the field here. So I was surprised that the Sassanids didn't kite and didn't use the range superiority basically at all.
One of our units can no longer fire.
I think having some of them on the flanks would be a very good idea. The Armenian slingers, that is.
Our men have regrouped.
The javelins were used to quite decent effect in this battle. Persian mounted getting wrecked here, and now we have a balance of power rout incoming any minute. The Stegben are routing off the field. The Stegben did get some kills, even though they didn't get the best charge to begin with. Or they didn't get a charge to begin with, I should say.
Our men run from the enemy. This is shameful.
So now we have a balance of power routing. And yeah, it came down to, in my opinion, it came down to the Armenian slingers just not pulling their weight at all, and the Sassanids not kiting enough. So, although the Armenian slingers are getting some kills, these are not high value cavalry kills at all. But look at the kills on the Saxon units, they are substantial. And this is of course an ultra unit size, so that is going to inflate the numbers. But all of these skirmishers do a decent job, and very balanced compositions brought here by both players, really. Only 6 cavalry units, medium, all of them. Over here we have only 2 heavy cavalry units, and they didn't really pay for themselves because they got snagged and such. But good game to Waldhorn and MVS007. Strength and honor.